Hello, 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 and welcome back to another round of Deckers, my dear denizens of the grid. Ugh. So, I've been thinking about what I was gonna do today, and I have some really fun ideas in the pipeline. I'll tell you about some of them some other time, I guess. Hack the Planet is one that I'm definitely looking forward to. But for today, I realize I don't think I've done a playthrough in quite a while, at least, if at all, where I fully explain things beyond just talking my thought process through. I'm explaining my moves as I go, but I'm not teaching the game as I go. And that's, partially by choice because at this point, you know, if you want to learn the game, there's other sources you should probably be looking at rather than mine. But on the other hand, I did make a WTF vid, and I do feel like I don't want to sit and make a rules video per se because those I feel are better done already with what's already out there. But hang on a minute. Is my camera tilted? You guys can see all the way to the edge, right? Then why am I getting cut off on this edge? Uh, Pardon me a moment while I adjust my screen. It's a eternal problem. Getting everything just right. There we go. There we go. It looks like I had something cut to the sides from a prior setup, but I'm okay with the whole table this time. And I need to keep off the table. So what I figured I would do, uh, in lieu of doing ever more advanced, and ever randoms, is go back to the original scenario that the instruction book gives us and play the basic Alpha Moby. But while I play the basic Alpha Moby, and I'm literally going to copy the setup right off the book, I'm going to act as though you'd never heard of this game, and I would met you in a game store or somewhere similar, and just explain what things mean, why they're happening. Consider this a overly tutorialized first game, albeit by someone who has a fair bit more than zero experience at this stage, if I'm being humbragging just a little bit, if I may humbrag just a little bit, and is probably capable of making better strategic decisions than average. And I'm not capable of keeping a video free of analysis, so there will be some analysis and some over-analysis included. Um, Even just now, I'm showing the secondary versions of some of these characters, and I guess I should flip over to the primary side. So let's begin with what you would have if you had just gone through the most basic setup instructions, and the game would have taught you this step by step, what these pieces are, how each of these colors represents one server, and together all five make up the network. Um, Beyond that, you'd have to pick out certain objectives that between the copper objectives, the silver objectives, and the gold objectives, which you're going to actually be playing too. You would have to pick out an AI that you're going to fight against, and we are going to be, because it's the teaching scenario slash starting scenario, instead of it being randomized, we're going to intentionally pick the very first one, Alpha Moby. And yeah, I'm going to gloss through the setup part of this just a little bit. My focus is going to be more on gameplay and tactics, not stuff that you'll be able to just read just by reading the book. Again, if you guys want to buy this game, it is still very much available. Game Nerds has a copy going for, I think it was something ridiculous like 35 bucks, which considering that I forget about in general, just on my channel alone, I've put in double, triple that time. Yeah. Okay, Alpha Moby. I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can get a good look at it right now. I need to move this. It's blocking my own view. There we go. But Alpha Moby, basic AI, the basic SMC, I should say, that's guarding this network. And in any game, you'd pick one of the 7 included SMCs, and then they would fight against you. You'll notice how it lists a copper, silver, and gold cycle. So those are the objectives we'll need to clear. you can technically get away with not beating these first two objectives. Only that last one is required for the win. Secondly, you'll notice it gives us how many bad programs or sparks it's going to send at us in each phase. 1, 1, and 0 in the silver phase, which is great. And you'll notice that there are special rules. In this case, that it will put a spark on our square every single turn. Finally, there's usually some setup rules. So in this case, it sparks the entire pink server as well as the entry space when we start. So I'll go ahead and set that up here. The opening, normally we would draw randomly from these, but the opening scenario gets us a specific set. And the specific set it chooses is not actually the easiest, in my opinion, or the hardest, in my opinion, goal. It's uh, rather a well-chosen set to show a lot of what the game has to offer. Uh, and I have no problem with that. Here we go. Just because I only remember Hackman for certain off the top of my head. Sequence of play, intel phase, setup. Here we go. They are recommending that we start with uh, 404 not found, neural matrix, and Hackman. Now, in many games of this type, setup is kind of automatic. You're just putting pieces where they belong until you're ready to start. And this is uh, uh, very much what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now looks like. It surely looks like we are just, you know, laying out all of the stuff that we need before our game starts. But the difference, in my opinion, is that normally we would be analyzing each objective that we've randomly selected and really studying it. The first thing that we do, picking a boss, that has more to do with just what we feel like playing at the moment. But the second part, oh man, the glare is actually unbearably bad. Where are we getting this glare from? Is it is it my lamp? It might be my lamp. No, it's not the lamp. It's the ring light. Lucky for me, that one's movable. No, not that either. Appreciate y'all's patience. Oh, that's so much better. Cleaner lighting. I'll take that any day. And then let's try and point that over the field at large. Switch this to its secondary mode. Let it not be said I don't try 100 things before I give up. I'm okay with that. A little bit of a whitewash. And if we start getting glare off of this, we'll make the adjustments we have to. But for now, that looks pretty good. Oh, we are getting glare off this, aren't we? Yeah. Okay. Well, keep it more broad then. Swap this back to the soft light. In which case, perfect. No glare. All right. No glare is what I'm after. So, we would ordinarily be looking at these objectives, studying them, setting up this network according to what will help us beat our objectives. And that, honestly, a lot of the game is won or lost, in my opinion, just on how well you do that. Like, if you don't bother setting up an advantageous grid for yourself, then you're playing uphill the rest of the game. Alright, let's go ahead and set up the market, or the hack shop, or whatever it is called, the upgrade store. Let's move those back and use this space. Oh, perfect. They'll all fit very nicely up here. Perfect. Okay, so we'll do that. That's the official spot for the store from now on. But since we're playing with presets, we don't have to worry about intentionally choosing or designing our grid. We're dealt this grid and we're going to deal with it. The setup rules for Alpha Moby are as follows. Place one spark on each space on pink. Okay, so we'll do that. Place one spark on the Decker's entry space. Okay, so what is a Decker and what is an entry space? Decker just means hacker. You know, if you call your stack or your computer terminal your deck, which of course is also your deck, so haha, that's a great pun. But yeah, there are four primary colors, plus purple if you want to get advanced. Those are the four Deckers. Let's decide which decker we're going to play based on the objectives that we have to fulfill. And spoiler alert, I've already decided I'm not going to play my favorite one because I always play my favorite, and I'd like you guys to see something different here. So, what's available? 404 not found. Goal: space 4 on each decker's home server must be clear of all sparks and guardians. Rules: if at any time a spark would enter a space 6, it is instead placed on space 4 on the same server instead. So there's two different ways sparks can get onto 4 now, if I roll 4 or if I roll a 6 and it lands on 4. And Alpha Moby putting sparks on me will always shuffle them over to 4. So we're going to get 4 sparked, but we have to keep it clear. Got it. Second, have at least one green program or one green installation on each odd-numbered space on X servers, where X is the number of deckers plus 1. Well, we're 1 players, therefore we're 1 deckers. So 2 servers are going to need 3 green programs for a total of 6 green programs that I'm going to need in order to fulfill this particular requirement. Finally, Hackman. Remove the Hackman the same way that you would remove a white guardian. We're going to talk all about Hackman as we get closer to fighting him. For now, just know that I'm going to have a giant white installation, enemy installation, drop on me and teleport around randomly until he's dead in the last phase. Kill him and get back to home for the win. For the phase 404 not found, killing sparks is going to be helpful. Converting sparks into not sparks is going to be helpful. Pushing or moving sparks out of the way will be a temporary solution to a long-term problem, but it could get the job done. Or, uh, yeah, no, all of those things. So, in order to do this, all the deckers are very viable, by the sounds of it. Um, I've talked about this more in the WTF vid, but each of these deckers has the same core 12 cards. Single symbol of a color, double symbol of a color, symbol plus wild of a color, and then based on their color, they get an extra 3 of their color. So green will have an additional single green, 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 and green wild. Greens and blue symbols are responsible for pushing things around and moving either yourself or moving you while you carry other things. So I consider them utility, manipulation, and mobility. Yellow and red are conversion of sparks into other things, so you can create other programs out of sparks, or just do it multiple times to get rid of sparks. Red is just a straight up kill color. Use it to infect sparks and get rid of them. Infect the network and get rid of the sparks. Because I don't normally play her, and because I think conversion and kill are the most interesting things to show off on camera, let's pick the yellow decker. So we will be Tilda Sweet. Each decker is going to come with their own fancy card and their own standee. She'll come in on her home network square of 6. I will be real and say that this is probably a suboptimal choice. Ordinarily, I would want to pick a decker that's going to have better access to the network at large, right? Or one that has even more capacity to deal with early aggression. Tilda Sweet has a special ability. I don't know how well you else can read this, so I will hold it up for you. Which says instead of spending 3 to make a program, she only needs to spend 2. We'll talk about what spending 3 of what, spending 2 of what, and what that means, but bottom line, from a beginner point of view, she has a faster deploy phase, and that might be helpful considering that I need to start eliminating sparks immediately. Alright, well, we've got our objectives, our boss, our character. Let's go ahead and put away this thing for now. Get our board set up, deal out our deck, and get started with our game. You know, I'm looking at it and realizing the lighting is actually not great. It's quite dark towards my board. Trying to think how best I might deal with that, and unfortunately, no obvious answer is coming to me. One thing I've considered though is maybe if I switch back to the whitewash light, like so, but then angle it so that it's aiming at the far side of the board to reduce the glare effect, because it's not going to bounce back into the camera that way as much. No such luck. Alright, well, I was loath to do this, but let's just go ahead and move the network closer to my light source and hope that that, for the time being, minimizes the damage. I hate to have Tilda Sweet directly at the site of the glare. She's going to be the main character, obviously. Um, yeah, I think that'll do nicely for now. Alright, let's get cracking. So, as previously alluded to, we've got these cards, and each card has a single symbol or double symbol, and that symbol lets me do things. Let me get my helper card out. Ordinarily, I'm playing without these days. I'm pretty comfortable with all the moves, but it'll help me when I forget to explain something that I'm doing. I'm not doing a comprehensive rules teach. There will be things you don't learn about this game watching this video. My hope, though, is that anything I do, I explain the rule of it at some point so that you learn not all the rules, but all the rules I'm using. But these are the total moves available in the game. Feel free to take a peek at that before we move on. All right, so we've got our starting position, we've got our starting decker. Let's go ahead and get our sparks distributed on the network. We're going to get one spark each for pink, as previously promised. We'll get a spark placed on my starting square, because that's what the setup rule is. But we have a conditional, 6's move to 4's, so that's going to happen. And that is about it for that. We'll leave this tray handy because I know I'm going to need it soon. Yeah, let's get cracking. 1, 2, 3. Why did this one feel stiff? This should be 2 cards or just poorly sleeved? No, 2 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, there's something very wrong here. Let me make sure I've got the right number of cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This feels thick. 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get another stiffy. 11, 12, 13, 14. Alright, you know, there's that old joke about recounting until you get the number you like, right? So let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, we got all of them. These cards like to glom together. So, why do I care so much that it be exactly 15 in the starting deck? Well, apart from the fact that that's the correct number of cards, specifically, in this game, you will draw 5 cards for a turn and play 5 or 4 carry 1, but then draw 5 later, cards per turn. So, if you think about it, you're guaranteed to have 3 turns to go through your deck. Now, in most deck building games, when you buy a card, your deck gets more full of cards, and when you use up a card, sell a card, whatever, you can get less, you can remove from game. In this game, all purchases of cards from the shop either directly add one of your cards back to the shop or remove one of your cards from the game. So you will always maintain a 15 card deck size exactly. No more, no less. Cards in the shop have at the top right, they're labeled advanced, so you can't remove from game an advanced card. You can merely put it back in the shop. They have a price in the top right corner, an ability on the bottom, and symbols where my card would have had symbols. So looking through the market right now, for example, this costs 2 green, but pays off with a green and a wild. That's an upgrade. This costs 2 red, but gives me 2 red with some bonus ability. This is 1 blue, but gives me a blue with a bonus ability. Figuring out which cards to upgrade when is, and trying to improve your deck as you go, and trying to adapt to the improvements you've been able to make as you go are all part and parcel of winning. Alright, there's a few more things we get. I should have technically have done this before I revealed all the cards, so just pretend I didn't lay anything down. You get 1 program of your own color on your starting square, and you get 5 minus number of players, so 4 in this case, blue programs to be freely placed. I like to think of this as every server that you didn't hack into, right? you have a movable portal. But this is never how you would lay it out. Blue programs act like a walkway. They let you move along them for lower cost. So if my goal is to make sure that I get no sparks on 4, I'm going to make sure I have an easy access to 4. Since my future goal is less clear, I guess, have a green on each odd numbered square within my server and on a different server, I could potentially do something like this to just prepare a wide spread of green options in the future. I actually kind of like that plan because now I can distribute things more quickly, or if I get flip over abilities, I can use them. Let's run with this and see how it lands. There is another possibility, which is I could use this to make an inroad to another base, but I'm content with this for now. All right, game start. First things first, we have a start of turn phase. In each start of turn, normally there's no events that happen here unless the cards say so. Alpha Moby gives us, at the start of turn, place a spark. What are sparks? Enemy programs are intrusion, or the equivalent of intrusion countermeasures are called sparks. They enter where the game says they do. Most typically, you would roll and put them on the space indicated. So, oh my god, I rolled yellow 6, which is exactly where I'm at. So, blue 1, right? But when the game is telling you to spark something specific, you do that instead. In this case, it's saying spark goes on me, which is here. And this condition says instead of 6, it gets moved to 4, so here. What sparks do immediately is they prevent you from making programs or making installations when you're on them. You can still use your cards, but you can't build the bigger tools that you need to do stuff in this game unless you get rid of the sparks or move away from them. Secondly, if you put 3 of anything together in this game, you get something bigger. 3 sparks put together morph into a guardian. I'm not going to go over guardians just yet. For now, suffice it to say that they're harder to remove than individual sparks, and there are only 5 of them in the box, so you can run out quickly. Oh, yeah, and if a spark lands on one, giant spark explosion can deplete your sparks very quickly. So, we are already 2 sparks towards having a guardian form on 4. Thinning their numbers would be very helpful. Either that or just not standing there to make another one spawn. When a spark does spawn, when a guardian forms on your square, it knocks you out and moves you to a random place on the network. So even more reason to avoid that outcome. Let's start the game. I have, on any given turn, I can play as many actions as I wish. First you decide an action, then you have the symbols and you pay the symbols for it, and then you do the action. Problem is, if you want to take multiple actions using the same symbols, so these are move and push, right? Let's say I said I want to spend 1, 2, and that wild 3 for pushing 3, and then I want to move 1. That doesn't work. You can't float mana or commands. You have to spend, put away that card, and then find another card to spend over and over and over if you want to do that. So figuring out how to sequence the perfect turn is a big deal in this game. Looking at the shop, I can already see an obvious purchase. If I pay 2 red symbols here, I can buy this card. Now, y'all don't know this, but this ability only applies to white sparks, which aren't in this whole run. But what I'm doing it for is specifically to clear out a space in the shop so I'll get a new card later, and I think that's valuable. This is a basic card, this is an advanced card. When I buy with a basic card, the advanced card goes not into my discard, but into my hand. And the basic card I bought it with is removed from the game and won't come back, so I have permanently improved my deck for the next 2 times I'm going to cycle through it. So, in that same vein, 2 green symbols, 2 green symbols. This is a straight line upgrade. It turns a green into a wild, and it gives me an ability to manipulate dice rolls, which may or may not be useful in the future. So now I've got a little bit of an improved hand here. You don't have to buy first. You can choose to do things in any order you prefer. I just happen to prefer this option right now. Tilda Sweet, normally it takes 3 of anything to make a program. You'll notice that I've made yellow and blue programs so far, and I will let you know now, let you in a little secret, there are green programs and red programs too. To take a movement action, I can just pay and move, but to move along a path is free. So this 2 movement, I could move anywhere here I wanted, and then move an additional 2. So that's pretty sweet. To make a push happen, I have to be standing where I want to push from. But green programs let me push remotely from anywhere I might prefer. To attack and kill things, I need red to infect, but that red needs to be on the space I'm at, mostly, in order to do it. So making a red program will help me with those attacks. Finally, there's the color that I chose to play, which is yellow, and yellow gets to change sparks into something else. So the most basic way to make a make a program is to pay 3 for it. Tilda Sweet says pay 2 instead, so I'm going to pay 2 yellow. This does not get removed from game. I'm actually using this one. And I'm going to spend that 2 yellow to make a single yellow program. You'll notice there's no spark on my space, so this is allowed. And unless there's an effect that changes it, sparks always spawn in your space. Now, what I want to do is carry these over here and beat up those sparks until they're dead. Problem, you're not allowed to use the yellow spark ability unless you outnumber the number of sparks in the space that you're doing it to. So already the fun of this game comes right here, trying to puzzle out how to do what you want to do. Uh, for example, I could spend 1, 2, 3, because I can turn the red, green, blue into a wild as well. Call all of these yellows, and make another yellow program, and then I outnumber them. Actually, I only need 2 yellow programs, don't I? Tactics. What we're going to do is make a third yellow program, then barge over to 4 and start converting. I think that will allow us to get the lead that we need here. Uh, Alternative tactic, advanced tactic would be to make an installation, but I don't feel like teaching that just yet. We're going to need 2 yellow symbols, right? I could use the wild here and the wild here as yellows, and that would be 2 yellow symbols, but that feels wasteful. I could use the wild here and 3 symbols that aren't wild, right, to make 2 wilds, turn them both yellow, and I have my third yellow that way. Um, I could... What else could I do? I could buy this. It costs 3 blue, so I have 1, 2, and if I spend all of these 3 blues, then I could use that double wild blue as a double yellow to make a yellow. Problem is, at that point I would run out of cards. I only have 1 left. And I need to actually, whatever I do, I need to actually deal with the growing threat, don't I? I could... I think I can afford to wait 1 turn. So what we're going to do, it's a little slow, but it makes sense to me. We're going to spend 1, 2, and 3, turn all of those into a blue. Oh, sorry, a wild, which we're using as a blue. And with that 1 blue, we're going to buy the Knightem ship. Now look how I spent multiple cards to buy 1. I don't remove from game all of them, because if I did, I would have less than 15. I only exchange or remove from game 1. I'm removing this one, so that goes here. This one gets discarded. And with my newly purchased batch, I can spend 1, 2, 3 to buy the Hologate. And I can either put this item ship back, or I can upgrade to the Hologate directly, and then put this removed from game. I do think wild symbols are at a premium, I would rather have more wild symbols than have more mobility, so I'm actually going to put the Item Gate back and spend this to get the Hologate. Now, we'll make our last two yellows makes a program because of my special ability. Normally it would be three. And I will make my third yellow program. And finally, because I can't risk staying here and letting a Guardian form there, or rather I don't want to risk that, I'm going to use this as a blue. With blue, I generate enough mobility that I can move here and drop off 1, 2, 3, or better yet, drop them off here, 1, 2, 3, and then I have 0 movement left, but because I'm on the pathway, sorry, I still have 1 movement technically. Don't have any extra movement, but because I'm still on the pathway, I can come up here if I want to. And I think that's reasonable. So that will be my whole turn. Now, at the end of turn, unlike in, say, Spirit Island, actually, if you've played Spirit Island, you know what Explorers versus Ravagers and Builders are, right? These programs don't do anything until all this deck is done, then the enemy sparks attack. So unless there's a special end of turn ability, and there isn't, we refresh the market. Oh, yes! That's a great card for my strategy. And I draw my next hand of 5 cards. Got a lot of yellow here. A little bit of green, too. Now, at the start of turn, Alpha Moby would do its start of turn ability, which is to spark my space. After that, it would spawn a spark, but that's not going to happen until the next phase. And now we are finally ready to do stuff. I once again am lacking in mobility, which is not great. I have 1 wild in all of this hand. I do have the ability to buy a replicant jar. I think I used up a lot of my red cards, 2 of them in the last phase. So buying this and this might have to wait for a minute. I don't have mobility, so I'm already thinking in terms of using this just to move over here, which is fine. Then I would use the modify action a couple times to clear all the sparks out of that space. Am I out of yellow cards, or do I have plenty of those? I think I have plenty of those. Can I buy the replicant jar for 3 and still do everything I want? Buy for 3, move into place, modify once, modify twice. Yes, I can. Okay, good, 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 good. So that's the plan. Uh, let's do this all one at a time. First, I need to move back, right? So I'm going to pay this as 1 blue. And do I want to buy the item ship? No, because the next phase is going to need more green usage, so I want to save this just in case. But I will use my 1 blue mobility out of this to pick this up, right? I'm still at 1, right? Uh, Now to go from a non-pathway space to a pathway space is going to cost me a movement. Any movement that isn't from a pathway to a pathway costs, right? So that cost me 1. I'm going to spend that 1 again to move this up to here and then come back. The reason I'm doing all of this is because I don't know if I'm going to get around to getting rid of that spark or not. And I want these programs safe away from these fighters. So that's my turn. Actually, I'll go 1 further. No, here's fine, here's fine. Yeah. Then we're going to spend 1, 2 yellows. Now, the way the modify action works. 1, you have to have a yellow in your square. Check. 2, you have to have an enemy spark. Check. 3, you have to have more yellows than enemy sparks. 3 versus 2. Since all those conditions are met, next, you need to spend a yellow in order to trigger the modify action. Okay? Then you need another symbol, any symbol, to say what you want to modify it into. Yellow to yellow, yellow to green, yellow to red, whatever. I almost forgot my real strategy here, but we're going to spend these 3 yellows, 2 and 1, remove that from game because we have to remove 1, to buy this. Then we're going to spend yellow and green. So we'll spend the yellow symbol to trigger a modify, and the green to modify this into a green, which we know we're going to need in the future. And finally, we'll use the double wild yellow card to trigger again this yellow and this spark. And I'm going to choose yellow so that I can turn it back into another yellow. It's a little bit treading water, but it makes sense to do because I don't want there to be any yellows left over here. Last turn of the phase. Oh, so much tasty in that. I hope I can buy something. Spark on my space, and we are good to go again. Oh, that's not a good sign. Alright. Give me just a minute. Take a look at the market and see if you all can spot the obvious trade. There's one trade that makes total sense to do and is pretty straightforward, but if you can't spot it, don't feel bad. If you can spot it, I'm just gonna quickly sort this out. Got a beep in the microphone. I need to make sure it's not about to go dead on me. Alright, well, did you spot it? The obvious trade? The obvious trade is to spend the single blue and buy the Nidum ship. The same one that I actually had put back in the market earlier this turn. Only now, it costs 1, pays 1, and this is a basic card, so this will remove from game to upgrade for the rest of the game. I'm not sure if I'm going to need the Nidum ship effect, but you never know. It's good to have and not need, instead of need and not have. We do need to deal with the spark in our space, and ideally we should be making more green. So since we outnumber the spark 2 to 1, we're going to spend a yellow to trigger a modify and turn that asterisk into a green. And just like that, spark is gone, and we have our green. One of the lost conditions of this game is to have 25 sparks in play. I hope you see that, at least in single player, that doesn't tend to happen until things start to spiral out of control, or you're playing against a much more aggressive enemy than we have been. Now, Space 4 is clear, which means we've already met our mission objectives for 404 Not Found, which is great. That also means I can start looking ahead to my next mission, Neural Matrix. Have at least a green or a a green installation on every odd-numbered space. I've got plenty of greens here, but none of them on the odd-numbered spaces. So, how am I going to solve this problem? Well, this card reads, place 2 viruses on your current space, bad, to place 1 green on up to 3 different open spaces anywhere on the network. Open spaces are edges, closed spaces are centers. So if I went 1, 5, and 3, I could cover everything except here, here, here in just one action. But I would be putting intentionally more sparks onto my space. And I would need to have a tool to deal with them, and I don't yet. So this is a tempting card to consider. This says, for its executability, remove 1 spark from your space or from an adjacent space. And this is the same effect as this, except red programs instead of green ones. I'm not all in on red. I don't have a ton of red symbols. I don't have a lot of way to make red programs, and the game doesn't care that much about my red totals. So I'm thinking what might make sense is to if I remove this from the game and take that, I can just get rid of extra sparks. That's not a bad thing. Let's do that. Let's take this out. And buy this. Now I can just get rid of the spark on my space or an adjacent space, so we could just name 3 and do it. Keep our side of the board pristine. We can use the double yellow to go ahead and prep an extra yellow program so that when we spark our own space, we're ahead. But I really like this idea of being able to place a bunch of greens down the road for free now. So how can I do both? I really can't. I have the blue, but I would need to spend a wild to buy the rest of it. Or this one, either way. So I guess maybe, as much as I like that I got the item ship, maybe we get rid of it. We spend blue, yellow, and this, right? So we call this the green. We could remove this from the game, but I really do like my yellow plus stars, so we'll give this back and buy this instead. This is discarded, of course. Well, we can't activate this here, because if we do, we'll fail our mission. We could move away and then activate it, but if we do that, then as soon as we start the next turn and put a spark on our own space, it'll turn into a guardian. There will be 3 of them. We could try to save it for later. I don't know, man. It might actually be worth just letting it go for now and doing it later. I could make a new blue program just to have a spare. There are actually really good reasons for that. I could use 2 movement to move all over the place and distribute my programs. That would be cool. Spend 2 movement, come here, pick these 2 up, come here, put 1 down, right? Come back, come here, pick this up, spend 1 movement to drop that off, come back, pick this up, put that here, right? Completely reconfigure how things look. Pick this up, put this here, pick this up, come over here, and my turn. Like, that's all just 2 movements. Do I want to just do that? Because that puts it on the 1/5/1/5, gets the 3 ready. All I have to do is cast this, and I'm halfway home. But I feel like that's setting me up for having to solve all the problems in the future, and I'm not ready for that. Is this where it was at? No, I had both the greens. So we'll just play it slow. If I buy the Knightem ship, drop the sparks. No, I have to move, then drop the sparks, and then move again. That's the problem. Uh, because here's the problem. If I randomly teleport to here, it's going to be really hard to get back. I don't have a lot of movement options either. So I think, as much as I'd like to, I'm just going to spend the 3 to do something faster. I'm just going to spend the 3 to get the blue and play it safe. And that will be the end of my turn. So, just to prove it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See, our cards are our deck size stays the exact same at the end of this phase. But we've removed several of our basic cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and because of that Knightem ship constantly coming out and in, out and in, I'm actually behind how many I would usually have gotten rid of. Um, and now we can wipe this, mark it, and get 4 new cards come the next phase. In the meantime, the end of turn stuff happens now, and the first thing that'll happen is the SMC attack phase. Any place that has an enemy program is going to attack and kill all of my programs on it. Any place that has an enemy guardian, if somehow I put a guardian in that same space, that guardian will, or an installation, that square will kill my big square. But since none of those happened, nothing happens here. Then we check the goal. Space 4 on each decker's home server must be clear. Check. Success! Place a green on each space 4 on every server. Oh, wow. Well, it's a good thing we didn't have a 3 here already, or we would be past the maximum. But that's a lot of greens to distribute. We suddenly have a much more robustly activatable network. And it doesn't specify only the spaces without sparks, so everything. Finally, you'll see these up and down arrows. Any sparks on green, we would start at the lowest square and move them up to the next box. And then next box. So 2 boxes would move total. There are no sparks on green, so that doesn't do anything. Same with blue. So if we had failed, on the other hand, on any server with any sparks at all, or any guardians on its space 4 or 5, get an extra spark on 6. So you see, it punishes us if we're not winning, but it helps us if we are winning. Silver phases are not so generous. Once again, remember the objective, 135, right? Well, that last bit of fortune really does help us. We now have enough raw greens lying around that we can just move them around and be halfway home. Let's draw 5 and start the next turn for the next phase. Oh, beautiful turn. Beautiful turn. And the market is even better. When I explain it, you'll see why. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, start of turn effect is to spark my square, and we are officially in the silver phase, so now the enemy gets a random spark as well. And he picked 5 yellow. Could have been anywhere on the board, but he picked my neighbor. Go figure. Okay. Uh, what is our goal? Our goal is in 3 turns, because that's how long this phase will last, to somehow get all the greens we need, right? And we have the replicant char, so we can flip all those blues and make them greens if we want to. We also got the neural splash, which could be very helpful. And we have the spark remover to remove a spark from our space or an adjacent space. But we don't have much movement. What we really want is just move a bunch right now and put things everywhere they need to be. Hmm. We can't make anything on our current square right now because the spark is here preventing it. So what we're going to do instead, let's pay this 1 and we'll also pay the wild with it, but we won't burn the wild, we'll burn the yellow from game. Discard this. So that's 2 yellow, and we'll use that to buy this deception jar. Then we'll play the deception jar for its special ability, which is to take a spark away in our space and turn it into a yellow, which is convenient. Then we'll, without much mobility, how am I going to... Checking how many greens I even have in the box, because I might be running out. Green and blue are on equal opposite sides of each other, so you can't have 15. You can have a cumulative 15, not an individual 15. Alright, we're going to use the neural splash technique, We're not going to get the full value out of it. Unfortunately, we're going to be shy by 1, but that's okay. Uh, we'll spend it and get 2 sparks on our space, and then 2 greens on open spaces across the network, and we'll pick 1 and 5. So the furthest, hardest to reach ones are set now. Finally, we'll use the sidekick ability to remove 1 spark from our space or an adjacent space, and we will of course pick our own space, right? And we'll use the replicant jar. I want to save it for flipping this upside down just in case that becomes necessary, but at this point I can move this here and move this here, and I'm basically there already, so I don't think it's necessary. And I'd rather get ahead than behind on spark count, so we're going to go ahead and use it just for spark purposes. We're going to use it to turn into a double yellow, get rid of that, and do that. Just keep our spark count in check. All right. Draw 5, start of next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lots of yellow available. Lots of yellow available. Okay. Can you all see these cards? Am I bringing them all? Okay, good. So first things first, spark on my own space. Second, we're gonna get a spark on a random space. 5 red. That one's probably gonna be there all game. I doubt I'm saving it. If I use this green and remove it from game to buy this, this particular ability is that I can get a wild when I buy something, so now I can buy any of those with this. Just a little leg up. Um, yep. I could just use the double yellow to convert this spark into a yellow and keep my yellow count at 2. I need to start thinking in terms of actually fulfilling my objective, though. Well, then do that. We'll use the digital tattoo as a green plus wild card. Unfortunately, the thing I want to buy costs yellow and red, not green at all. So I guess I'll spend the digital tattoo and a yellow, but I will remove from game the double yellow when I do to buy this. Now I'll use this wild card as a movement. And with this single movement ability, I have 1 movement available, right? So I'm gonna pick this up, carry it over here, still at 1, pick this up, move over here, and now I'm at 0, and lay out my pathway. Now I'm at 0 movement, but because it costs 0 to move between blues, I can still keep moving. And I am going to move down here and put this up here, down here, and put this all the way up here, and come all the way back here. So in 1 swoop, I've gotten 1 and 3 set up. I like the idea of keeping my base here, so I'm going to move this green over here as well. I can always move it down later if I have to. I can't, with 0 movement, go there, so this is as good as I can do in the moment. Then, let me make sure. I'm going to use the modify ability to spend yellow and red, and we'll go ahead and turn that into a yellow, which comes back as a yellow. We'll use the Tilda Sweet ability to get another yellow, I guess? That doesn't really help me with my objectives, though. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt. I think what I'm going to do instead is spend this as a green for a push. And now I have to teach pushing. Pushing is exactly what it sounds like. It's called shifting, actually. From your space, you can shift something away as long as you spend that many symbols. So one symbol, like that. I cannot do 1, 2. Each push has to be accounted for individually. But green programs can also push. They can push other things. They can push sparks. They can even push themselves. So with one push, I could do this. And that sets up the 135 here. Or I could do this. But then I worry about how this one survives later. I could do, with one push, I could do this to extend the road that way. But I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna do this. Save the green program, build a pathway. 135 is set. 1 and 3 is set, and I'm very close to setting this one up. All I need is some mobility. I will hold this card in reserve. Last turn. We're going to get... Oh, that's a beautiful buyer. Relocate any number of sparks to any server that doesn't yet have an installation. And that green, shift any number of greens one space. So a lot of finishers available. I've got a lot of mobility. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potentially moves on my blue card. So that's what I was waiting for. Spark myself and a random spark. Blue 1 gets a spark. And... Wait, did I just add a yellow? No, I added a spark. Blue 1 gets a spark and myself gets a spark. Okay, so this spark has to be dealt with. This space has to be cleared. And a green has to end up here in order to not fail this phase. You'll notice that I haven't looked ahead at the next phase much yet, and that was because I'm teaching, so now it's worth explaining this. As soon as this phase ends, Hackman starts. At start of turn step, all the Guardians are upgraded to White Guardians, essentially, and Hackman drops in on your square, killing everything in it, and knocking you to a random square. Hackman is just the fancy name we give to this little tower that we're going to put together. In order to kill him, we need to take an infect action on his square or use a card ability. Problem: I have no infect actions, no ability to take an infect action without red programs, no red programs to my name. Other problem: you can't enter Hackman's space just by walking into it. You have to be on a green installation and ghost into his space. So with all of those limitations, I have a lot of setup to do that I didn't do anything to set up this whole game. It'll be interesting to see how I pull it off, or don't. So here goes. First things first, blue plus wild plus yellow plus green is enough to buy a triple star that also lets me relocate sparks. I think I'm in a situation where I should just do that. The alternative would be using this guy plus this guy. Or this guy. Do I need my double yellows this turn? Kinda, yeah. We're going to spend the double yellow not to reduce the spark count. I'm actually okay with a spark or two right now. I have bigger fish to fry. To buy this. Then we're going to flip this upside down using that card ability. I think it has to be on my space. I don't think it can be anywhere on my server, right? Yeah, on my space. So now I have a little extra green power, which is good. How am I going to clear the spark out of 5? 2 pushes ought to do it. So we'll spend Hologate plus this red card. We'll give back the Hologate to take the Microbionics? No, 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 no. We're going to go ahead and use the Ginger Cool for green plus star. The star is going to be yellow, and we'll use the yellow plus spark over here to make another green program. Are we out of green programs? We are out of green programs. This plan is not going to work. Oh boy. Okay. Can't do that. So we need to make a guardian out of what we've got. Um, yeah, this is a bit of a pickle. We need reds in order to take the infect action to kill Hackman. We need more greens to build a ghosting station. And we need to do it all in very little time that we have left. So much for me teaching instead of just explaining my moves. I could try to get rid of some blue programs to free them up, like make a teleporter or something. If I combine 3 of them into one, I can get rid of them that way. With 1 movement, 2 movements, I can get them all onto a sim space and then just do that. And then come back. Yeah, this works. Okay. Uh, 2 movements should be enough for this. Actually, if we're not going to hologate plus this guy, right? And we'll return this. Wait. Is there any other way to do this? No, there's not. Return this to buy this, just so that we have the better cards in our deck for later. Move 2. So that's going to be grab this, grab these, move them here. That's 1. Grab this, move it here. That's 2. Then we will upgrade these 3 blues into a teleporter. Teleporters let you take a movement action from here and travel to anywhere on the network with it. For the time being, though, I'm really not using it. I'm just using it to get green programs out of back into circulation. Now we're gonna use this as a move action to move 3. And we'll go 1. Pick this up. Pick these up. 2. If we can do better. We can actually do much better. We can go 1, 2, 3. The idea being we're setting ourselves up for the next phase because spend the ginger cool, yellow and this go away, and we get a green in our space. But oh no, what happens right now? Hackman's gonna come drop in here and kill our stuff, but first we passed our check, which is important. End of phase. There are no places that. Oh no, we forgot to deal with this guy. Oh no. That would be a game loss. Not a game loss. That would be very bad for us because it would just kill the green, and that would fail our objective. Let's back it up. Let's back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Undo the microbionics purchase. Uh, the teleporter maker. And we have 2 yellows where over here. Made the teleport like so, yeah? No. This didn't exist yet. Like that. Perfect. Uh, so in order to manage that spark problem now, we can take the much more direct route of moving over there and just changing it, or we can use a series of shifts. Um, I don't actually need the teleporter. I'm willing to let it die. So step one, we're going to... I'm not willing to let it die. Step one, we're going to move over there. 1, 2, and we'll carry... Actually, teleport doesn't help. Yep. 1, 2, and we'll carry this with us. Step two, we're going to double push. We're going to push this spark from here because it has a green, and this spark from here because it has a green. And unfortunately, actually, before we move from there, we'll make an extra yellow because anything we have on this square is just going to die. And that's it. That's the turn. Ugh, now we've cleared the objective. We didn't buy the good stuff, but the objective, have at least one green on each odd-numbered space. Check. On a random server, place one spark on each of its spaces that is clear from everything, sparks and greens. So pick a random server, blue. Place a spark on each of its spaces that has neither green nor spark. Well, wouldn't you know it, there is no such space, so nothing bad happens. But the spark movements do happen. Yellow goes down, so from the highest number, down 1. Blue goes up, from the lowest number, up 1. Red goes up, from the lowest number, up 1. Green goes down, from the highest number, down 1. Nothing happens. Alright, prepare for game loss. Incoming. Hackman. First things first, don't forget to refresh the market. We are in extremely bad shape, if I'm being perfectly honest. I have no red programs, no ability to make red programs, no insta-kill shots, and minimal ability to teleport around. I'm not sure how we win this. I'm excited to try. Hackman immediately starts the turn here. When Hackman lands on a space, everything that in that space dies, and we get teleported to a random square on the network. We got pink 5, which is mercifully not too far away. Our goal is to build a green installation, get some reds to use, ghost those reds to where he is since we can't carry them in ourselves, and then kill him with a red attack. We might be able to pull off an attack. I don't know it's going to work, but we've got to try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cards. We do have Hollow Man, so we have at least one ability to teleport back after having been banished, which is good. We have a lot of mobility. If I can use some of that mobility to grab all those greens and put them in one place, I can at least build the ghosting station, and that could help a lot. But the hard part is that we have 3 turns, and we have to end the game on square 6. So it's a lot to do. Let's do our best. All right, you know the rules. First, we spark ourselves. In the gold phase, it's 1 spark at random still, so we'll get 1 random spark on pink 6. Thank God it wasn't pink 5. That would have been nasty. We do have Deception Spike. We have double move, but not triple. I think that might be enough. So watch us. This is going to be beautiful. Step 1, 2 movements. First move, come over here. Pick up the green. Second move, not using our movement point, teleport for free from blue to blue. Pick up another green. Second movement point, move over here. Just like that, we've got our green ghosting station almost ready to build. Well, let's go ahead and build it. With this. So these are removed, and in its place we put this. Whenever we're standing on here, it is as if we are able to take an action from as if we were on any square in anywhere in this server. which is huge for us. For example, I can right now say this is only workable on the square I'm on, Deception Spike, but I'm going to say that I'm on this square, ghost my action here and use it to remove this from game, or not remove this from game, to remove the spark and get another yellow. I just figured out my winning strategy. What I'm going to do is work on building a lot of sparks, and then when I get my Deception Jar, flip all my yellows into reds and attack with them. That's probably my best bet to win this. In the meantime, if I can buy that to enhance my abilities, that would be great. I could make another yellow with this double yellow, but I can't afford to be standing on my ghosting station and have him, you know, crash on top of it. So I'm going to move out of the way. Uh, yeah, we're just going to use this to get out of the way. One movement over here. Hackman will immediately land on top of us, and in so doing, he will eject us to a random space on the network. So we have to get ready for that. We do have the Hollow Gate, so we will be able to teleport back this turn. We did not get the Flippy Jar, which is what I really needed. Our random square is pink 1. Self Spark. Actually, Self Spark first. No, these are all. Yeah, start of turn is Self Spark, followed by Hackman so that he kills the Self Spark. That's using your noodle. And now will, of course, be the spawn phase where one spark shows up on the network, and it's going to be at blue 2. That's fine. We'll keep it there. Well, this is tricky. I'm trying really hard to think what the right strategy is here, but it's not coming to me. The best I can figure is with Copycat available, I can buy the Copycat and then Copycat the Hologate to get back and do cool stuff this turn. Digital Tattoo that we bought but didn't use last time is a green plus a wild for purchasing purposes. So green plus a wild and yellow plus a wild is green, yellow, blue, red, which is everything you need. It doesn't matter at this point. We'll remove this from the game, I guess, and we'll buy the Copycat. Copycat's ability lets me do the execute text of a different card that I have. So I'm going to use it to Copycat Hologate. Relocate your avatar plus any number of programs or sparks from your space directly to another space. How many sparks do I want to take with me? None? Uh, this is a reveal effect, so I get to keep the card. And we're not running out of sparks. We have plenty of sparks. Is there any possible way to build a red installation to help me with my fight? I can keep the Hologate for next turn so that my next turn can look like Hologate back to my home square, flip the yellows to reds, and then take a swing at it, ghost style. So anything that helps me do that will be good. Uh, I can make a red. That's about it. Can't do much else. I don't think I ever bought the Nidum ship in the end, so I can't rely on sailing back to get back. If I could buy that, I can't take an infect action. I don't have any reds. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Hologate back, just like we said, right? We could Hologate to here if we wanted to, or here.
This is just thinking ahead, though. With all of these symbols, can I do an attack this turn? And if so, what would that look like? Well, I could spend duality to flip a yellow to a red. Then I could use uh, this as movement, to carry that red over here. And then I could use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attack versus 4 defense to try to kill him. That could work. How much worse is that or better is that than... The problem is if it doesn't work, I have no way of retreating, and I need to keep a retreat path so he doesn't blow up my ghosting station. And it's a die roll. I'm gonna do something that technically isn't allowed because, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do something that I technically have access to. I should know what the last 5 cards of my deck are because I put them there. So I'm gonna make sure what my next hand looks like. Got a movement. I've got a bunch of yellows and wilds, but I don't have any reds, specifically reds. I don't think I'm better placed to fight him next turn than I am this turn necessarily. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have some mobility if I need to try and get back next turn. So if I go through with this plan to haul a gate over to here, flip one of the yellows to reds, uh, use a move action, ghost a move action, I should say, to move that red into position, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attack it. I mean, it's pretty high risk. And if it doesn't work, I have no mobility left. I have no options for mobility. I have nothing I can buy that would help. If I don't do it, I'm in even worse shape. Well, yeah, let's think about that. What if I don't do this? If I don't do it, and I come over, I don't know, here, let's say, or whatever, what am I doing instead? Making a single red, sure. Somehow I can make a second red, maybe. A third red, sure, why not? And then Hackman comes and blows it all up. That doesn't seem any better. Yeah, we're going for it. No guts, no glory, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You guys get to see a desperado move. So, yellow, activate. We will flip to make a single red. Uh, this could make another red, or no, no, we're fine, we're fine. +3 is better. 3 moves, right? 3 movements. It's ghosted. Does that help? Not really. Yeah, if it doesn't work, nothing's gonna work. Ghosting the movements to do from here, 1, 2. There's no way to do that with less, is there? No. Then we attack. It's copycat plus sidekicks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ghosted the action to here. 6 attack versus 4 defense. Dice, don't fail me now. Shoot! Oh, it's good when it works! So, to take the infect action, you roll the dice and you see what they say, and you add it to the symbols that you've spent, and you add that to the number of red programs. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Versus 1 plus the number of sparks, so 1 or 2. Or if there's a guardian, you add 4. So 4. On the dice, I have it crushed. Hackman is dead. And with Hackman dead and me on my starting square, I can end my turn in comfort. Hackman does not pounce on us, doesn't blow up our starting square. I get a new hand of cards. We do get sparked, and we do get a random spark, which happens to be on square number 1 of our own server. But at this point, we've already won, so it's a bit of a formality. We'll ghost action the movement for 1, 2, and we'll go 1, 2. And then go ahead and take a conversion action to make another yellow. Uh, Ghost a movement, or yeah, ghost the movement to move these over here. And go ahead and conversion action to make another yellow. And we'll use Ping Nexus as a yellow to turn these 3 yellows into an installation. I never got to explain yellow installations this game, but basically they do 3 things. 1, you know how you can't make yellow programs when there's a spark on you? If there's an installation, that is waived. You totally can. Second, you know how it costs 3, or in Tilda's case 2, to make a yellow program? Well, if you're here, it only costs 1. And third, you know how you have to have numerical superiority to use the modify action? With the yellow station, you don't need that. Just equal is good enough. And with my last 3 yellow symbols, I'll ghost an action to here to make 1, 2, 3 yellows. The hackers have taken foot and broken into the server because on a random server place. No, this is the white objective. Remove the Hackman like you would a ghosting a guardian. Check. Each avatar must be on their entry space. Check. Congratulations, you have won. That's it. That's a simple, quick, and easy game of Deckers. I didn't say quick and easy, did I? My God, I should not have said quick and easy. But that's a simple game of Deckers. This is the basic starting scenario. I will admit that I did not play very well. I took some suboptimal moves for the sake of teaching and for the sake of explaining more and keeping the gameplay focused. If I had been playing more aggressively, I would almost certainly have been working towards this final objective much earlier in Phase 2. I would have gotten this installation sometime in Phase 1, even at the cost of having more sparks. By aggressively removing every spark in the first phase, I actually slowed my development, which is why by the last turn I was down to a die roll in luck. But luck in my favor. I was +2 on the dice. If I had rolled a 4 and had rolled a 5, I would still have won. But that's that's the run. Thank you all for watching. I really recommend this game strongly. For 35 bucks, I've had way more than 10 hours of fun out of it. So, game is Deckers. Take care. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.